welcome to another episode of Voices of Hult. My name is Daniela, as you already know, and today I am so excited and happy because we have a great invitee. But that we're going to leave it a little bit for last. Now, let me introduce you to our co-host for today in his first ever recording episode for Voices of Hult. He is also part of our operations team. We have Juanjo here.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
And suspect. Okay, so everyone, Rafa. We have
Hello,
Rafa
everyone.
back with us.
It feels so good to be back. Welcome to the team, Juanjo, actually. How's it going? How all this time has been?
It's been great. We miss you a lot.
Thank you. I'm still in Boston, by the way. So
yes,
and we sometimes we hang out, so that's good.
This is a little update. This episode's going to be an update about Rafa's life and how his life is obviously Hult Alumni life, and obviously a little bit in touch with the past of his journey here at Hult and now his journey outside of Hult. So let's dive in without further ado. And Rafa, tell us a little bit about you first for the people that don't know you.
Yeah, well, for the people that does not know me, I'm Rafa. I'm from Peru. I am the former vice president of Voices of Hult and founder with Lydia that might be watching us. I moved here 2 years ago. I did my first master's in MIM. I did the second master's as a dual degree in MBAN. And I was also part of different clubs here in Hult, the president of the volleyball club, part of the board of the Pride Club. And I've been like everywhere here and even working for a school. The shout out to the student services team that might be watching us. That's me. Now I'm here working. Life after Hult has been good. Not easy, but good. So yeah, that's been me.
So diving into and touching upon that past, as I said, maybe our audience wants to know a little bit, how was that? You know, a lot of people think that since MIM is like international marketing and then you go to BAN, it's like, oh my God, two different opposites. And how it was for you to mix those two passions and share with people. Maybe a lot of people think like, oh my God, how being so creative into some field like marketing.
Yeah, and they're like very two different fields. So like, how do you mix that and how you made that into your career?
Yeah, so I think it's very interesting because a lot of people think that being on the marketing field is just being creative, and that's basically it.
Little pros and colors.
Exactly. You will hear always the finance people or people in business that comes to you saying like, oh, you're going to do the presentation.
Oh, yeah, presentation, colors and stuff.
Wait, what? But believe it or not, like marketing have a lot of numbers involved, and all the actions you're taking on into the market needs to be you need to
based on data.
Yeah, correct. And also, if you're trying to understand who are you talking to, which is basically all the consumers, there's so many consumers out there that you need to understand all the data and all the information that is out there just to be able to craft something perfect for a specific market you're doing. So on the first one, I upskill all my marketing skills, which was great. It gave me like a global vision of what is marketing on the business out there. And on the second one, it connected with how do you try to understand and process all this information that is out there, because there's like so much information to actually be able to find insights and see where do you have to put your money and where or who do you have to talk to. And you also have to create predictive models, and it actually saves you a lot of time and money. And also the second degree had a lot of AI things involved that, well, AI is now out there. So if you don't have it and you don't know how to use it, it's going to be a disadvantage for you at the end. So I think both of the things were really related, even when you don't know it. So yeah, I think like when you find that magic on the data to be able to understand the market and use it towards the strategy part and creative part and so, it works pretty well. So yeah, I think that it connects a lot. It's really useful. On the second master's, which is MBAN, we were coding a lot. I don't want to code for a living. I'm sure about that. But
A Python.
yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard. And if you don't have a passion for coding, it's going to be really hard for you to get into it, like fully into it and doing that in your day-to-day work. But I think information is power. And as long as you know how to do it and the limitations and the advantages of that, it's all you need if you don't want to code for a living. But you're going to start working with people or teams that are going to be dedicated for coding and to process all this information, and you will know what you can do, how fast, what you can't do as well. So yeah, I think they're really related, and I'm glad I did both.
Yeah, that's great. So after being like learning for 2 years, so from those two very different fields, how do you feel like leaving Holt and like starting your new life, like your new career?
Yeah, I think living Hult was sad because my life was on campus basically.
Of
Like I
course.
was here 24/7, all my friends, even the team that I was working with, even like around here, the neighborhood. It was like where I was every single day. So I miss that part a little bit, the sense of community and all your friends around and saying hi to everyone in every hall you're walking around. But then it's also great to feel that those like year and a half, like maybe also almost 2 years went by so fast, and now you are there doing uh,
Real
what you
life
were
stuff.
meant to do after school. So it's really exciting to be out there in the market as a professional. It's also hard to get a job and everything. So now is the moment that you go out there and start confronting the real challenges out there. So it's mixed feelings of everything. Exciting most of everything. So
I
yeah.
bet it was nostalgic because I thrive on saying that I am involved in everything in campus life. You know, I'm an intern in school and I work in various clubs, but Rafa was another level of involved on campus life. And, 2 years based on that, because that was
Yeah.
the basics of your life, must be hard to come outside. But it's like, just a little chicken flying into the world. And I bet it was very challenging at first,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also that excitement.
Yeah.
It's just another transition, as when you go to primary school and then you pass into high school, and then high school is college, and everything is just a challenge through life. And then you change from different jobs. It's just part of life, the big changes. And when we learn to have that adaptability, that's the key. So Rafa, tell us a little bit about that. And let's go. We already talked about your journey through Holt. That's the
Mm-hmm.
first step. So we touch up a little bit on the past. You're interested, double masters, and how MIM and MBAN connected with you. And then I'm trying to move to the ending. Let's go to graduation.
Yeah.
How was that
Yeah, and I
experience?
always heard like MBA students like they're always like scared towards the end because like as international students like OPT and all that stuff is so stressful. Like, how was your experience with that?
I think it's really stressful for anyone, like all the international students or all the people that are not American here in the US will have to go through the visa process and OPT and CPT. And it's funny when I'm out there with my American friends, because I have a lot of friends now here from Boston, and it's like a mix of a lot of international people and my American friends. And suddenly I'm talking about visa stuff with my international
They don't
friends.
understand like
And they're like,
in
what are you, CPT, OPT, like STEM? They're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you don't have to go through that. Like,
yeah, like they don't
it's fine.
understand the struggle.
Yeah. So thanks God, I we had our career advisor. Like for example, our last career advisor was Peter, and he uh, gave us a heads up of, hey, this is what's coming. So you need to be ready for what's gonna happen. I learned a little bit of like the visa process when I was doing my CPT, when I was doing my internship. So I had to start doing a few things related to the visa and stuff. Um, but then now, when you are graduating, um, you have to do things like on time, and you need to make decisions or of when your OPT is gonna be starting, and so and so. So Peter told us like we need to be sure of the dates we're choosing. And we need to start looking for jobs in advance. And he gave us a lot of recommendations of what to do and how to be sure when to start the working dates or the permit and everything. So I started everything in advance, which I think was like a really good decision, because at the end I remember a lot of people running everywhere and saying like, oh my God, I need to pay these. And for that people that did the process at the end, their work permit took longer to get to them. I think you can also be lucky and you can apply and get it like right away. I don't know how the process or the selection process to
Actually works. Yeah.
so
I don't know
I think I don't know if it's
Like
random
nobody
or-
knows,
I
like-
don't know if
Inside.
it's random or something. But yeah, I think I did all that, like, legal part in advance, so it was pretty good, and it gave me time to actually start looking for a job. So I was applying everywhere, and I remember that I was applying like for 20 places per day. So it was like a long run back then. But again, you need to be ready for what's gonna come. If you know what's gonna happen once you graduate, you need to understand what are your next steps. Something that also was really stressing is that when you're looking for a job, and it's not just in the city you're living, it's like, do I have to move somewhere or not? Do I renew my lease or not? Because if my lease is finishing and then I have to move because I get a job somewhere else, so there's a lot of things that.
You have to take into account.
Yeah. So when it comes to timing, it have to be really important for you to have a plan. I had a plan. I remember I didn't have a job yet, but I decided to renew my lease, and I was like, I'm getting a job in Boston, and if something happens, I'll figure it out. But you need to be determined of what's your next step or
Yeah,
your
I
next
think
goal.
that's like part of the most important part is determination. You were determined to get a job here. You were determined to keep your life ongoing in the United States, because a lot of people do think, why are you staying here? Like, why don't you go just back to your country? You now have an international degree. So the jobs that you're going to get most of the time are well paid, in a good environment where your family is. Like, why don't you just go back? And maybe you can answer that question to a lot of people that don't understand, because I could from my point of view. But I would love to hear what you have to say to those people that are like, but why don't you just go back? Like, they understand. And a lot of people, that's the first thing they ask. I was an orientation leader now in orientation week. We both were. And a lot of those kids were asking me, like, are you planning on going back home? And it's like, maybe, but I don't know yet. And they're like, but why is it not an instant yes if you know that going back home with a degree will get you way much than if you stay here? It's a longer road and it's a harder road, but we don't run away from a challenge, right? So tell a little bit about that experience, that mindset of, I want to stay here and I'll work for that.
Yeah, I think in my case, when I took the decision to move to the US, I knew. I mean, you don't take a decision of like, oh, I want to be somewhere else for 2 years and then just come back home. Like, for me, it was mostly like, oh, I know I want to be in school in the US. I'm going to move there. I'm going to start a life there. I'm going to get my work permit for 3 years. So I want to use it. So, like, basically, like, why would you waste the time that you have here to have an experience, like a professional experience here? I don't want to do that. And it's not that I don't want to go back to Peru ever in my life. I'm actually planning to go in January. Not to stay, just to visit. But I think it also depends of where you're coming from. Like, that's a really important
true.
part. Like, I have a lot of European friends that are like, oh, like, if I don't get a job here and I go back to Europe, that's totally fine.
Yeah, but like
That's-
it's very different from Latin America.
Correct.
Like, yeah.
So life is there is like perfect. So it's, if I don't get a job here, I'm just gonna go back home and nothing's gonna happen. In my case, like, I think there's like bigger opportunities out there in the world than in Peru. And yes, I could go back and potentially get a really, really nice job. But for me, it's again coming back to the comfort zone, or when there's no like personal growth or something like that. So I think that was my mindset when I decided to move out of my country. And I think for me going back, if it's not for like a CEO position or something like that, I'm not going back. Because that's a challenge, right? It's not just like, oh, I'm just going to go back because I have to go back and I'm going to be more comfortable and my family is there and so on. So, which that would be the only reason though. on top of that, I'm not married with the US. So if there's a challenge out there somewhere along my professional career in the next few years, I'll take it. Like, I'm a really professionally driven person, so if I get a challenge somewhere else, I'll take it. So I just
True.
think there's bigger opportunities outside of Peru.
So if there's a Russian company that wants to like contact Rafa and like we're looking for
Yeah,
a CEO
give me a good
to
offer
come to
and
Russia,
I'll think
like
about it.
Rafa will move to Russia.
So when talking about careers now, like also for people, for me and Daniela that are now like not even starting our career, we're still in college. Like, what would you recommend? Like, for example, like connections and like like getting to know people. Like, what do you recommend us to like start doing from now on?
Um, well, I don't know. Like, it's kind of hard to tell for me. I moved here to start my master's with almost 8 years of professional experience. But I also have a lot of friends that they have only done internships before. So it's like a little bit different between of the background that you have. But something that I think it's really, really important for you to keep growing in a professional and personal way is what you just said. Like all the connections you're going to be making here, not just in Holt. Because I think like you're going to make a lot of connections, friends, and professional connections and networking as well. You need to take advantage of that as much as you can. I met people that they were just coming to school to study and then leaving and not making friends or any connections. And I think that part is the most important part here. That's why you're here in an international school with people from all around the world. So I think that would be my recommendation. Like, enjoy the time here. Trust me, I've been here for a year and a half in school. It went by so fast. So fast. And I'm like, I wish I had more time with my friends. That's one thing. And to meet new people. I met people at the last of my time in Holt, and I was like, why didn't meet you before? Like, what's up? You
And
know?
I want to highlight that because we're always talking about professional life and how college and how Hult works to prepare you for the real world and challenge and international. But it's also so important. And I think Rafa is one of the best examples to highlight that. Because I was telling on the orientation part to the new students, I was saying that, like, guys, it's so important to have a balanced life, to not only focus on the academics. Because this 4 years, for some people are 4, for some people are 3, even 2.5 for your undergrads, and then a year of master's or 2 if you're doing dual. It's like it goes fast so fast. It really goes by so fast.
Yeah, like for example, our first year like went by
It
so
went
fast. Like
so fast. I can't believe I've been here for already a year. The other day I was like looking at the day I moved in and Holtas for the first time, and I was like, oh my God, it's already been a year.
I know.
I
It's
can't believe
crazy.
it. And I was telling them, I know, because a lot of them are like, yeah, I'm not planning on going out alone, or I don't know what to do. And I'm like, yes, do. Like, you can have a balanced life. I promise you that it is doable to work in campus, to go on networking professional events, but also to just go networking and go out with your friends and meet new people and have fun. And I don't know, do picnics and go out to brunch
Exactly.
and go to museums. Boston's such a great city to like get to know. And now that it's this beautiful weather, amazing. So go ride a bike, go to the park,
yeah, I feel like
enjoy.
in general it's like the best city for like students. Like everyone, like you stop in a red light and you see like 10 students behind you.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
so amazing.
And Rafa's such a great example of that, of how balance is key. Because even though I was telling you guys, like, Rafa was such a part of, like, campus life, always involved in, like, all the activities, also was student services intern, working and everything. But at the same time, he was so sociable. There was always like, oh, yeah, Rafa, do you want to grab a bite? Yes. And then
Yeah.
Rafa's like, well, I grab a bite while I do work, but I'll grab a bite. Like, and there's always time to have fun. So if you want to see that it is possible to have a balanced life, there it is.
It is
There it is, the
possible, and it's really
example.
important for you. Not just you don't have to be like
A working machine.
exactly. You're a human. Like you need to be out there making friends or talking to people. Um, I do agree with that people that says that, oh, I don't want to go out. late all the time just to. Trust me, the worst place to network or make friends is in a club. Like you will not even like remember who was that
They won't
person the
remember the
next day,
conversation. Yeah.
or it's gonna be your partying friends. That, to be honest, that's not gonna take you anywhere.
No.
I think like my biggest sources of friends or networking has been like one in school and two sports, like literally like volleyball, cycling, any other sports that you can imagine. It's like I is the connection is real. Like you don't go to play volleyball expecting to meet the manager of whatever, and then suddenly it's your friend, and then weeks after they're like, oh yeah, I work for Amazon, like right here, and I'm like, oh, that's
Hi.
great. I'm just looking for a job, and like, oh, okay, I can recommend you whenever, because they know you were not looking them to get a job. They were your friends, and they happen to be someone in that specific company. So I think those would be my recommendations to some networking around here.
Great. And now, so Afterlife, you were saying you got a job. Can you tell us a little
Oh
bit about
yes.
that?
So right now I'm working in product innovation. I'm working for a Peruvian company that have operations here in the US. Um, Sadly, my my last day in this company is gonna be tomorrow.
Oh.
I've been working there for 2 months now. Again, networking, not just for the US. I got this job because of my network in Peru, not because of
Great.
my network here.
The
So
art of networking.
yeah, but so you know people from your country, and then these companies have operations here. So that's how I connected with them, and I'm so glad they gave me the opportunity, and I started working with them. And now I'm moving to a different company, also starting tomorrow. It's a company based in the UK. I'm gonna be um, partnership manager, so I'm gonna be managing all the partnership for this company
Great role.
in the
Oh,
continent.
congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Wow.
And again, this job was again my previous boss from my internship that I did here. He was also a Hult student, now an alumni that I met because of a club that I started here. So
I
you
mean,
see,
That's
from
like
your story, we can tell like how important networking
for
is. Like,
me, I think like the best way to get a job is networking. So
for sure.
I had that previous opportunity because of that friend that was my boss before, and now we connected again, and now I'm gonna start working for this company. Tomorrow I'm gonna be flying to London for 2 weeks for um, some activities that they have there. So I think that's how life is gonna work from now on. Like also you need to be smart and you need to be dedicated for work and a good professional. But I think that the first way to open a door to be closer to get that job is your networking. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been working for this Peruvian company for almost 2 months now, and now starting a new challenge and a new way starting tomorrow. So excited for that. So we'll see what happens. There's gonna be a lot of traveling involved, so that's also really exciting.
That's amazing. And since I mean, you were lucky enough to get those opportunities. For people that are graduating like next year or like in the upcoming months or finishing school, I mean, apart from networking and like all the stuff that you have just mentioned, what would you recommend to them, like to land a job or land an internship or like get experience?
Yeah, I think I made a mistake, and that's how I learned, and that's how I'm gonna give this advice. Again, as I mentioned before, I come from a background of like 8 years of experience in a multinational company. So as soon as I was graduating here, I was like, oh, I come from this management level. I'm gonna try to get the same here.
Mm.
Big mistake.
Uh,
I was not getting interviews. It was like really, really hard. The positions were not open. The ones that were open, they wouldn't offer sponsorship. So it was really hard. And so I had to step down because I'm in a different country, in a different market. I just graduated from grad school. So that's what I did. I was like, okay, you need to be realistic and that you're not going to be starting where you left before or back home. So my first advice would be mindful of where you and that you're starting again your career. not from zero, but don't expect to have the same that you had before. I'm not saying don't look into get something better anyways, because I mean you have to 1 or 2 masters now. But there's a lot of competition here in the US. Like this country is so big, and there are so many schools.
Especially in Boston with all these like top.
Correct. Yeah, you have like all these big schools here. Hult is not huge here, but we learn a lot of things that they don't, which is like this international, multicultural, and many other things. So my first advice would be that try to be modest and try to get a job, because you need to start somewhere.
Yeah, the US market is humbling.
Yep, like you need to start somewhere, and it's gonna be up to you. Where do you end, and how fast do you climb there? So that's how I did it. Like I'm not on the same page as what I was before, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be climbing up soon. I
Of
hope.
course, 100%.
And I want to say it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
To go back and start from a lower level. It's okay if you don't get a managing job right away, because you'll climb up the ladder. That's literally how the industry works. And if you are hardworking, like I know Rafa is, it's gonna happen sooner or later. And it's fine. It's all right to go back. It's all right to accept this as a challenge, because that's what it is. So definitely looking into that. And I think that is such a great tip for our viewers and listeners. Guys, it's okay. It's okay to go back, especially for international students, which is most of the Hult community. It's all right to just start from zero. And also for people that are not international, it's okay. A lot of us, the thing is that I think Hult prepares you so much to be in a managerial position, because they give us big challenges. So when you get outside, you really feel prepared.
Yeah.
You feel like, but you don't understand that you are not like that in paper.
Yeah.
Your resume might have a lot of things, but still, you just graduated. And a lot of companies, not blaming them because it's understandable, they're like, well, you don't have as much experience as this person who has already worked 10 years and graduated, I don't know, at least 7 years ago, and you graduated just now and you want that same position. You could be a great professional, but wait, you still need time to get ahead. So definitely listen to this advice. It's amazing to understand that you have to be patient and fight for it. Remember to have balance and to do things prior, because Rafa told us, and that is key, to have your paperwork ready if you're graduating. We have our new batch of masters who just have 1 year, 2 if they're doing dual, but 1 year to go ahead, and if they want to keep and stay in the United States, you have to do all that paperwork. Be ready, go to all of your OPT sessions.
Yeah.
And I think use people like Rafa. I think that's important. Like, find people on LinkedIn that are Hult alumni. Connect with them. There are a lot of things like professors know alumni that you might be like, oh, professor, I'm interested in this and this. Do you know someone? The professor could connect you to like this former student. If you get to have that opportunity to connect with students and alumni that used to be part of Hult, LinkedIn is like a great platform, or Instagram, I don't know, other social media. Thank God we live in the social media era, because you could connect with people like Rafa. You could look him up and be like, hey, Rafa, just dropping a message on LinkedIn. I want to know about your experience. Can we go grab a coffee and get like an info session, a one-on-one, And people like Rafa are really nice. And most of the Hult alumni that I've met are like super willing to do that. And if you could be like, I don't want to stay in the States, I want to go to Italy, and you find someone who actually works in Italy now and went back to Italy, or study here and was an Italian and now went to Italy, and they have a lot to tell you, and they're like, well, this is the process that I went through. Because there's also a process if you want to get outside of the States and you are not part of that country. So knowing that your connections can also be with alumni is key. Connect with people that are older than you.
And the fact that Hult is so international and has so many international students, like you can meet people and like get to know people, even the alumni from all over the world that have like different experience, that had like went with like a different process, that you can learn from that process and like get to know them and like take advantage of that international community.
It is a Hult highlight that we also have master's students with undergrads, because
you can mix them all.
I got the opportunity to meet with the masters and masters like Rafa, who tomorrow I will like ask him questions and be like, hey, I
Million
have this
questions,
problem.
probably.
So it is a great opportunity. Hult is such a diverse, with ages and experiences environment. So take advantage of that. I love this episode. I love that we had Rafa back. I feel like at home, you know.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, hi.
I feel like I went back in time to my freshman year, which thing, Dios mío, it's like gone. I can't believe it. But well, to finish up, as always, Juanjo, why don't you do the honors of saying our previous guest question to our present guest? And Rafa, you already know this, but we're gonna make you a question of our
course.
former guest. And after you answer, we also need you to make a question for our next guest.
I'm gonna be surprised that I didn't know that was gonna happen, but sure, I'll think about one.
You're from the house. So, Rafa, what is your green flag and what is your red flag?
I didn't know the question though. I knew
Yeah,
this was
yeah,
gonna
we
happen.
didn't. No, that's top secret.
My green flag and my red flag. I want to think that there's one thing that could be both for me, and it depends on the context, on who I'm talking to. And I'm gonna say is that the amount of energy I have. It's for some people, it's like, oh my God, I love that. Like you just said, like last second plans, you call me like, hey, do you want to do this? And I'm like, I'm in. And I would be this person that would join everything. Like if you want to do something, I'll do a lot. Like whatever you want. Like, oh, I'm going to go there. I'm going to be there. I'm hosting parties. And then the next day I'm going to the beach and then I'm traveling and so and so and so. So I love that part of me. And a lot of people love it. So like,
Yeah,
oh
it's
my God, I
amazing.
love your energy. You're always like, how can you keep going? Like, how can you do this all the time? I used to go to spin class in the morning, counter class, work, go to class, and go to spin class again and repeat the next day. My friends were like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I don't know, but it's making me happy, so I'm doing it. For other people, there's like, oh, I don't want to do anything today. And I'm like, oh, but let's go outside. Let's do that. Let's do this. I remember, like, I don't know, sometimes like traveling with my friends, and I would be this person that, oh, let's go out. They were like, no, I want to keep it chill today. And I'm like, no, but I want to go out. I want to go out. And so some people, sometimes they're like, it depends on personality and so.
Yeah,
and
they
so.
might feel like energy translates to
Yeah, so
intensity.
they don't have as much as energy as I do, and for them, they take longer to recharge. With time and therapy, I've learned that not everyone is the same, and you need a balance. So you need to understand if people don't want to do something with you, it's not that they hate you. It's that they just like want to chill, and you're like, okay,
You respect that.
yeah, I respect that. I'm gonna do things by myself. Don't worry. So that could be a green flag and also a red flag.
Yeah, it
Depends
depends
how
on
do
the
you want it.
occasion,
Correct,
yeah,
exactly.
makes sense.
Excellent.
Good answer.
I like that answer. I think that's key. That's like a
Yeah.
really good answer.
Balance, important.
It's like a really good answer. So now your question to our next guest.
Okay, I want to ask, if there is only one place you could travel and only one person you can take to this place, where would it be and who would it be with?
Great question.
That's a hard question for our
So,
next guest, huh?
You gotta
Whipping it
answer
up?
now. If we have time, of course.
Oh my God. I think that's great, and I think our guest will have a hard time answering this. I
It's
like
hard.
when
And
these
you
questions
put them on
are
the
like-
spot. You're like,
Yeah.
what if I say the girl?
I love when these questions
You'll see on our
will,
next episode.
will deep dive into a lot of people, because I know that could also like get into the emotional side, and
Yeah.
people be like someone that's not here anymore,
Exactly.
and they wish they could travel with that person. So Rafa, thank you very much for being here. It was
Thank you for having
amazing
me.
to have you around.
I
It is
was-
always amazing to have you around. This is still your home,
Thank
It
you.
was
and you're
very-
always
It
welcome.
was very informative, especially for people like us. Like we are new students, basically still, and like we want to learn about this like this career path that people take after Hult. So it's very
Perfect. Well, thank you for having me. Follow Voices of Hult.
Please
See
do.
you.
Of course.
See you around.
Thank you very much, Rafa. Goodbye. Bye, everyone.